is obviously super cocky with how he plays. I think he truly believes that, he can out-op Markov every time. Those guys are all super confident. I don't even... I'm sure they kind of think they blew the finals of the last tournament themselves. I mean, E-Stars, that match versus FX, really could have been theirs with like I said, with that bomb plant yesterday the bomb getting lost in that one round. But yeah, I would give advantage to SK just by them being really hard to stop on CTs. Like Navi relies a lot on force buying and just kind of playing really smart and walking around and forcing people into those tight money situations. But SK is the type of team that can just shut them down from the start.
Yeah, I have to have SK as a slight favourite in that match, just because I think actually SK is one of the teams now who, because they've beaten Navi a few times, let's just say, and that Navi hasn't been doing that well at the tournaments overall anyway, I think they're one of the few teams that have managed to get, overcome, first of all, their own psychological block of Navi, and then also not necessarily have a psychological advantage on Navi themselves, but at least get Navi so that they're not that confident against them. Like, they know it's going to be a really hard game, whereas I think part of what made them so impossible to beat last year was that they felt like they were a favourite against pretty much every single team.
Yeah, I think the biggest advantage that SK actually has over Navi is Forrest. I think Forrest is one of the only players that I've seen that can just every single time he plays Navi put up big numbers. I mean, at that DreamHack when they won their first tournament in the BO3 versus Navi, that was actually his best BO3 of the tournament. He didn't play that great overall. He had like a .7 FPR, I think, of the overall in the whole event, which I mean isn't a bad statistic, but for a player like Forrest, you're usually expecting in the .8-ish range. But versus Navi, he top fragged I think like 2 out of the 3 maps, and both the times that he top frags were the ones they won. And even in that tournament, the only time Fnatic beat them in the finals was in 2010 was in the IM European finals, I think. Was that the one they won?
Which
or
match are you
Arbalete
talking
Europe?
about?
It was Arbalete Europe. The BO3 in the Arbalete Europe.
Teams?
Navi SK.
I don't know which match you're talking about right now.
It was the finals of Arbalete Europe in 2010, and Fnatic won. Sorry.
Fnatic.
Yeah,
sorry, I thought you were talking about SK.
Yeah,
that's the only time that they won.
And Force put up big performances there, so I feel like there might be a psychological thing with Force too. Just like when that guy, like we saw in 2009 and 2010, every time Fnatic played SK, they crushed them. And whenever Forrest has that mental advantage and just thinks he can plow a team, it seems like he does.
I mean, they also won in Shanghai as well, but that was when they had Gux back.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Forrest played great there too.
And plus, with Navi right now, it seems like the funny thing is they're basically now in a position like MTW have been in for all of 2010, where they're really good, they match up well against all the other top teams, but they're not getting the top placings. So even if you feel like you're really competitive in all the matches and you still have a chance every time you go in, if over and over again you don't succeed and someone beats you here, someone beats you there, it's going to wear you down. And I don't necessarily think that... The problem is, Navi have such ideal practice conditions and money situation, etc., for where they come from. They're not even one of those teams where they can just go away and practice more or work more on tactics. I'm pretty sure they do that all the time anyway. So I don't think that affects anything about it. I think it's purely like a mental thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other factor I could think of is Zeus having the kid, maybe cutting down into practice time and maybe lack of motivation over there.
They can't really take that as an excuse because it's just something they have to that's the way it's going to be from now on. So
yeah,
I still think worst case scenario, the worst I would put them at is 40 to 60 to win the game. Even now, I think it's probably more like 45, just because I don't really know that there's any reason to count them out yet when we haven't really seen full-on best of threes, because there've been all these best of one tournaments recently. The other match then is Fear Factory versus Isahar.
Oh, sorry.
So that one, I'm guessing, I'm at least just going to call that. I'm pretty sure Isahar will win that match. especially as his best of 3.
Yeah.
And then the third match, let's just say WinFakt versus eSuper. Again, it's another one where there's not really any reason that I'd have for saying that the eSuper team would win, so I'll just say WinFakt will take that easy.
Yeah, I think that Czech team is like one of those dark horse teams that could maybe get a map on a good team, but I don't think they can take a BO3 series off a team.
So that means that we're going to actually have a semi-final that most likely that features eSahara and WinFakt.
Yeah, that'd be a good matchup.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they play each other. I just mean that they'll be in the semi-finals rather.
Oh, okay.
But just them making the semi-finals though is big for both teams.
Yeah, it's a huge confident boost. I mean, as for both those teams are just looking to prove themselves as like a top 5 team consistently, I think, right now, and winning a tournament would just really... I think winning a tournament, even if you don't deserve to win or you get a bit lucky, really helps your team's confidence just for the next tournament you go to. Really makes you think, that you can do it again. So I think like if one of those teams can get to even the finals or something, will really help them out.
I'm trying to see if the bracket's actually anywhere online.
I don't remember seeing it anywhere.
No, I can't find it anywhere. And then the fourth match would be Moscow 5 versus FX. Now, who is going to win that match? Because I think that's the hardest of all. Well, no, I think that might be even harder than SK Navi to call.
Sorry, which game?
FX versus F5.
Yeah, that'd be a really interesting game just because both teams play really aggressive and individual. Just kind of, they don't stop peeking, they don't stop pushing. They're reckless, they force buy a lot, they like buying ops for no reason. Definitely be a really good game, I think, to watch. Really hard to predict.
That's a best of 3 where I actually hope that they don't end up having to play any of the newly added maps. I think that would be the one thing that would probably fuck it up a bit. Like, I'm not sure Moscow 5 would be too good on either of the custom maps.
Yeah, they're actually really good at Tuscan, but I don't know how that would translate to the newer custom maps that came out. It really depends, I guess, on how much they practice them. I didn't know that any maps that they can push and buy ops on CT sides really helps them. They're really good at Dust 2 CT, they're really good at Tuscan CT, all those maps where you can kind of just push around. Yeah. All those maps where you can push up aggressively and get picks. Even on Nuke, their CTs are never good if the other team can stop pushes, but when they're allowed to just push out ramp and hut, they really thrive in those situations.
The thing is, I would have to assume... Actually, I would assume it would go like this. Moscow 5 drop train. I'm assuming they use a drop system in how to pick the maps.
Yeah.
Moscow 5 would drop train. FX would drop Tuscan. And so then, I'm guessing in terms of picks, M5 would pick Inferno. And then FX would pick Nuke. And then
I think they just remove like 3 maps each. But I could be wrong.
Oh, they do? That could be true also.
Well, that's how ESL does it, but I don't know if they are copying the same format as them.
So you just remove 3 and then 3 out of left you play?
Yeah. Well, then you pick the ones. Then you each pick a map out of the.
What do you mean remove 3 then?
Or yeah, it might be you remove
2?
one and then pick one. Yeah, you remove 2. Or how many maps are there now? There's 8, right?
There's 7 maps.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
So you think you just move... Do you think you remove then pick? No, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Do you remove then pick, or do you remove the 2 and then pick?
I think you each remove 2, and then you just pick the map you want, and then the third map is the one that you play. I think.
If that's true, then that would actually be really fair. Score 5 in my opinion, because FX also don't like to play Inferno. So I could see them removing Inferno and Tuscan, and then if you're Moscow 5, you're probably actually not favoured anymore, or not even like a 50-50 chance anymore in the series if both those maps are gone.
Yeah.
Although I do know that FX have been working on a lot of stuff on Inferno, like things to do on CT side, with the push-up, etc. But if I were them, I wouldn't be confident in it, because I think FX on Inferno is a good example of why no one should ever expect Navi to be amazing on Nuke. Even if they practice it tons, even if they seem like they're getting good on it, they've had so long to play the map. It's not that they just haven't practiced Nuke and that FX haven't practiced Inferno. These teams have been playing this same map for their entire lives. It's that the identity of what they're good at doesn't necessarily fit that map or the teams that they're playing on that map. Like, I'm pretty sure Navi would beat most of the 5th to 8th teams on Nuke. It's just that they can't beat the elite teams on that map. I mean, everyone has to have a weak map. You can't expect them to all be amazing on everything.
Yeah, I feel like Navi really thrives on maps like that they can isolate people and switch back and forth through sites. Nuke is really hard to like just walk in to like inner. You can't really do it. You can't just walk into ramp. You can't, like, the best you can do is just walk outside until you're spotted, but all the other maps like Inferno and stuff, you can get up really close to a site